What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another great episode of Before the First Cast. Yes, you may notice there is no guest. It's just me today, folks. Today, we're going to talk about November bass fishing and what you need and what type of tackle you need to be successful in November. So, let's jump into it. So, we just left that Halloween season. You're all hopped up on chocolate Reese's, Hershey bars, you name it. We're not talking about the trick or treating anymore. We're talking about the bass fishing that gets real good in the month of November. So hang on, we're going to talk about those baits, where to throw these baits, and when to throw these baits for a big bass in November. So, first of all, I want to start off at the top of the water column. So we're talking about top water fishing. It gets real good during this time of year. Um, Something about that water cooling down and just the bait fish are definitely migrating to the backs of those pockets here in Virginia. It really hasn't set off just quite yet. It's been too warm. It's early to mid November, and the water temps are still in the 60, 65 range, 66 range. But by the time that mid to late November hits and that water's down to 63 in the low 60s, it's going to get real good. Top water bite's going to be crazy because these bass are going to congregate and ambush bait in the backs of these pockets, gang up on them. Um, so my first bait is I go with the the good old Berkeley Chopo. You can't beat a Chopo with this tail on the back. Um, It looks like a smaller version. This is the 90 series from Berkeley. It's the Chapo. The bait fish this time of year probably about this size. I know they are here in Virginia. It just gives them a nice um, meal to eat. And back, this back apparatus here, man, makes a great popping noise on top of the water that the bass just cannot stand. Another go-to for me, going still staying in the top water, you got to have a buzz bait. This time of year, I don't throw a skirt. Zoom horny toad is my go-to. It's just something about non-skirtless buzz baits that they are skirtless buzz baits that just gets more bites for me this time of year. Um, I usually have one that's like clacking. It's something about the clacking sewing. This is just a regular buzz bait. Um, I usually like the ones where they clack because that clacking sound just really gets on the nerves of the bass. I don't know what it is. The horny toad has a great action in the water, disturbs the water a lot, which is really good this time of year. It gets the bass's attention. Um, it just catches fish flat out. Sometimes I will throw black if it's a really high sky day. Into that shade, or if it's like low, not really good visibility, I will throw white just to meet or match the bait fish profile and match what they're keying in on. My last top water bait for you guys is it starts to get really good about this time and at the end of November. That is a walking bait. This is the Sixth Sense Catwalk. This is one of in my opinion, the best topwater walking baits. If you can get that thing walking real good side to side, man, it gets slammed. They like the bigger profile of this bait. Usually, I will go kind of a bait fish color, or something that is really reflective, especially during a really high sunny day. I will throw this on probably around 50-pound braid or 30-pound braid, depending. Medium heavy rod, um, definitely a top water rod for this puppy. Um, so that is the top of the water column. There's a ton of top water baits out there that would do just fine. I can think of just a weightless soft fluke that also on top of the water they just kill. Um, Now let's kind of go to that medium range. My second favorite bait in the month of November. I am gonna go with a crankbait. You cannot go wrong with a crankbait. Um, and the because I like getting shallow this time of year, and I really, really you cannot go wrong with the Rapala OG Rocco. This is the five Rocco five. That was about 3 to 5 feet. I love the colors that this bait comes in. Um, it really matches the size of the bait fish this time of year. This thing gets absolutely smoked this time of year. It's because it mimics a bait fish really well. Um, Whether they're keying on shad, crawfish, they will come and eat this. I am a very I love this bait. I'm a very shallow cranking guy. I love getting in the nasty stuff, just power fishing around wood, stumps, trees. This bait does a very good job of coming through just wood, cover, rocks. It's an amazing bait. Another thing is the way it's a balsa bait. So the floating action of it, it's not like your normal, plastic bait. The balsa really gives it to its action, and the curves on the bait has a kind of a tight wobble, but it gets erratic at times as well. And with my crankbaits this time of year, a lot of people don't do this. I will burn these babies. I sometimes have a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, and I am just burning, or I'll just switch up the cadence and do a burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 pause. And usually on that pause, they smoke this thing. Um, I have had some really good bags on a crankbait in the fall. Um, my next one, oh, and I also have it on in the 6 size. Um, this is really good when there's bigger bait fish in the area. Like I said, this bait comes in a ton of different colors. As we get in to where these fish are pulling off out of the shallow backs of cuts or backs of pockets, that's where I'm going to reach for my friend, the DT8, the Rapala DT8. Again, this bait has a ton of great colors in it. If you look at the bill, it's more of a coffin shaped bill. Oh, excuse me. Um, this bait will get down roughly 8 to 9 feet. But as we get closer to the winter time, it really shines because of the extremely tight wobble this bait has and its ability to stay in the strike zone. And with all my crankbaits, I am speed cranking these things, whether that just be just ripping it with a 7-to-1 gear ratio, or I'm switching up the cadence, doing burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 pause. These things, and if you notice the body shape, it's very, very slender up here, and that has to do with how tight the wobble is. And of course, if your crankbait's not running true, you're definitely gonna have to switch it up, change it a little bit. But I love a DT8, especially when those fish get in deeper than 5 foot of water, but they're not out to their, winter homes, in that, you know, 20, 30, 10, 15 feet range, but they're in that mid depth range. This thing gets licked. I mean, absolutely smoked. Um, I don't know why, but maybe it's a tight wobble and it looks like a bait fish that's struggling. I have several good colors in this. It's just a fish killer. Um, my third bait, um, this is for my guys that have just plain rock laydowns. This bait is great in rock. Um, and it doesn't get hung up. It's just a really good just bait overall. Um, and that is the Spro rock crawler. So this time of year, I will throw both the 50 and the 55. Um, the 55 gets a little deeper. It's from like 6 to 15 feet. The 50 is a lot. It's 50 millimeters big, so it's more like a square bill type thing. Um, Spro has awesome colors in this. Um, this is Phantom Green, I believe. I absolutely love this color. They also have another color that is a crawfish pattern that I absolutely love. I don't remember it right off the top of my head, but this bait is a killer around rocks, especially when those fish get out deeper than what my DT8 can reach or DT10 can reach. Put this baby on some 10-pound line. I personally like the FC crank from Sunline. Put this baby on some 10 or 12, get her down to 15, 11, 12, 15 feet on, she'll get eaten. She will get crunched. It's something about the action. It has a really good hunting action. Um, I was not put onto this until I started throwing it a couple years ago. Really in the wintertime, this really shines in the cold weather, cold water. Um, Something about it that those bass just go nuts over. I don't get it. It's but you find them, they're gonna eat it. They're hungry. It's more of a reaction strike for them. Again, I'm burning this one, pausing it, burning, pausing, or I'm just straight retrieving it and trying to knock this thing into anything I can at the bottom, whether it's rocks, trees, stumps. I'm getting it in anywhere where I know fish could be. So that's my second category for November bass fishing, the crankbait. It's one that's sometimes forgotten in November. Now let's and I have an honorable mention that I don't have out with me right now, but it's a jerk bait. Whether that be your, Mega Bass 110. This time of year, since the bait fish are really small, I recommend going to the 110 Junior. Um, this if you like Bill Lewis, the Scope Stick 100, they are really good. Something about, when the water cools down and this time of year that they're up feeding, they will smack, you know, smack a jerk bait. Another one that just recently came out a couple years ago is the World Minnow. It has the reflective um, component inside of it that gets that extra reflection. And as the bait's sitting there, it just continues to reflect. Um, but that was my honorable mention. I don't throw it a ton just because I love my crankbaits. But that would have been an honorable mention for me. So let's kind of move on to the bottom one, the bottom um, part of the water column. So my go-to, because I'm really a simple person. Don't have actually I do have them. So these are just became new to me. This is Five Bass Tackle. This is their Ridge Kicker shaky heads. These things are amazing. If your lake has a ton of structure, rock, trees, stumps, these things get through anything. It isn't, I'm not going to say it's impossible to get these things snagged, but it is extremely hard to get these things snagged in a tree. I want to break one of these open just so you guys can see what makes it so good in rock and trees and stuff. It's got a nice stout hook on it as well. This is the 3/16 size. But I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Well, probably not because of the background. But on this shaky head, there is the little ridges cut into the top of the shaky head, and that helps it move throughout the bottom through cover. It is screw locked. I'm not a big fan of screw locks. I just feel like you don't get really good hook penetration when you have the screw lock on there. Um, but some screw lock shaky heads are really good, and I think this is one. Um, five bass tackle really hit this on the head. You throw this on your shaky head rod. You know, I throw usually 15-pound braid to a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. Um, this is a great bait for the fall. I've caught a huge amount of fish on a shaky head in the fall. It's one of my favorite ways to fish. I just can't get enough of it. Um, One of my ornamental baits I don't have out here is a would be a wacky worm, and everybody's probably thinking right in their head, why a wacky worm? It's such a springtime type of deal. Well, it's really invasive to the fish. Just to give you guys a little secret, throwing a weightless wacky worm, especially as the bait fish are dying off in the fall, if you throw the right and correct color, it will look like a bait fish is fluttering down into the water, and that causes a reaction strike for the bass on the wacky worm. So that's kind of an honorable mention. It's kind of a sneaky thing that a lot of people aren't throwing in the fall. Um, I don't want everybody going to throw it now because I still want to have my secret. But no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead and throw it if you guys want to. Um, it definitely gets bit in the fall time. Don't believe people when if they tell you that it doesn't get bit because it does. Um, my second bait from the bottom composition would be a jig. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys for a minute, real just just completely honest with you. I have a very love hate relationship with a jig. Um, this is the Missile Baits mini flip jig in green pumpkin. In the fall, I will be throwing a half ounce. I just think it gets a bit better. And I do have my colors throughout. I keep it very, very simple when it comes to jig colors. Everybody tries to complicate it, but I'll go green pumpkin or um, green pumpkin orange or Bama crawl, or I'll have some sort of purple in my jig. It's just green pumpkin can mimic really anything bait wise. Usually when I throw this, I'll either have a Berkeley pit boss, I'll have anything from a chunky D on the back of it. This in the fall, you want a bait that kind of really does nothing. So your sort of your beaver style baits. A chunk works really well. Zoom super chunk as a trailer. What I'm going to be doing with this is definitely skipping docks. And if anybody's listening and is from the Virginia area, Smith Mountain Lake area, they are smoking jigs right now. They are eating the jig. Um, it's it's not a secret. You skip a jig under a dock at Smith Mountain Lake, most of the time a bass is gonna eat it. But yeah, that's my third bait or second bait for the bottom composition. I do have a sneaky. My next bait's a little sneakier. Most people don't throw it. Most people don't know about it, or if they do know about it, they don't think about throwing it. That is a it's kind of new to me, but it's the five bass tackle flat lock. Um, it's a sliding jig head. So let me pull one of these things out for you guys. It's definitely a interesting concept. I was only brought onto this from a guy that I've been talking to here lately. That kind of got me hooked up on it. So if you look at this, this is the 3/8 size, I believe. Yes, this is 3/8 size. You see the head, how it's kind of flat and it's curved in. So this is technically a jig without a skirt. But what's unique about it is if you put a like a crawl style bait on this. It looks like a crawfish trying to flee. So it's just something a little different if, everybody on the lake is throwing a half-ounce jig with a skirt, and that's all they've seen. You rig up one of these flat slider heads, jig heads, um, and you put some sort of crawl trailer or whatever trailer you like to use that mimics a crawfish. It's something they don't normally see. Um, and really, how you fish this thing is you honestly throw it out there, skip it out there, and just drag it or hop it like you would a jig. And it's just something different for the bait or for the bass to key in on. It's not something they normally see. And you can get several bites doing this way. And for my guys that fish, my last recommended bait for November is for my guys who like fish in the back of the boat. Um, I would definitely have um, some sort of drop shot tied on, whether that be, you know, whatever bait you like to throw. I just always have one tied up, or another bait I will start having tied up because I can't tell you how many people have caught fish behind me with it. Carolina rig. This 3/4 ounce, 6 cents pre rig. Um, this thing, I wasn't a believer until people started catching fish behind me. Um, on it, you can throw it anywhere. You can throw it deep, throw it shallow, drag it anywhere. I said I recommend if you guys are even on a point and you're in the back of the boat, pick this thing up, chuck it around. I'll give you a plug for some of the baits that you can use on this. 6 cents hog waller, missile baits, baby destroyer, another great bait for that. Um, but I hope all these bait recommendations and all of the knowledge of maybe some baits you didn't know of, or really didn't think about throwing this time of year, kind of get you fired up about, you know, fishing in the fall. Fall can be really good, you know, but fall can also be one of those things where it's a struggle. Um, but if you find yourself struggling, by all means, pick up one of these baits and just keep chucking and winding or dragging, flipping a jig, whatever. Eventually you will get bit. And you know, with all these baits, you can definitely vary it in color. Um, but if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, hit that follow button. Um, and we will try to do more content like this. Also comment if you guys like this type of videos or, podcast. Feel free to lay a comment down and hopefully we can do more of that. Also, go follow thebasscast.com. Follow the newsletter. It comes out every first of the month and the 15th of the month. Usually, go like and subscribe on YouTube to thebasscastradio.com. And guys, I hope this helps. And until next time, keep fishing hard, keep your head down, keep grinding. I will see you on the next one. Later.